Let me tell you something about Michael Jordan. He's going to be brutally honest.
Talked about or discussed with these guys is because this guy won 1 ring or won 2 rings or won.
When real basketball minds speak, the sports world doesn't just pay attention, it stops dead in its tracks. And when Stephen A. Smith steps into the GOAT debate, you already know he's not coming to play nice. He doesn't tiptoe around feelings. He doesn't sugarcoat the truth. He comes armed with fire, and this time, he's drawing the line in permanent ink. Michael Jordan, in his eyes, isn't just a legend. He isn't just another all-time great. He is the standard, the ruler, the measuring stick by which all others are judged. According to Stephen A., LeBron James, despite his historic greatness, despite rewriting record books, despite carrying the game for 2 decades, still isn't even sniffing that throne. The crown hasn't moved. It hasn't shifted. It still belongs to Jordan. And Stephen A. is ready to explain why. Piece by piece, with no apologies and no hesitation, I end this breakdown. We unpacking 7 brutal truths that Stephen A. delivers, each one like a hammer crashing down on the argument. These aren't lukewarm takes. These aren't polite comparisons. These are scorching statements meant to separate hype from reality, narrative from fact, emotion from evidence. And when it's finished, the gap between Jordan and LeBron isn't narrowed. It's blown wide open. Stephen A. sets the tone right away by highlighting what happens whenever Michael Jordan re-emerges in the NBA spotlight, whether it's an anniversary celebration, a Hall of Fame speech, or, as he predicts, the opening of the 2025-26 season. For Stephen A., this isn't just a ceremonial return. It's not a feel-good appearance to wave at the crowd. No, it's a warning shot. A reminder to the basketball world that Jordan doesn't need a microphone to dominate a room. He is a microphone. Jordan doesn't come back for politics. He doesn't come back for applause. He comes back to speak truth, raw, unfiltered, and unchallenged. And when he does, everything shifts. The room tilts. The conversation freezes. Because when Jordan speaks, even in retirement, his words carry the kind of gravity that silences hype and cuts through illusion. LeBron, for all his accomplishments, has never held that same power. He has crafted narratives, yes. He has controlled his image, yes. But he has never shattered the room with a single line. He has never spoken with a kind of raw honesty that bends a conversation in real time. That belongs to Jordan alone, and that's exactly where Stephen A. begins, by reminding everyone that when Jordan reappears, he doesn't just join the conversation, he ends it. He doesn't debate, he declares. And once those declarations are made, the GOAT discussion isn't just over, it's obliterated.
Tell you something about Michael Jordan. He's going to be brutally honest.
Jordan doesn't play politics. He doesn't manage optics. He doesn't sit there and craft statements designed to trend on Twitter or go viral on Instagram. He doesn't say what's media-friendly. When Jordan talks, it's the truth as he sees it, raw and uncompromising. You might not always like it. It might sting, but you never doubt it. And Stephen A. reminds us that this is why Jordan's words hold a different kind of power, because authenticity in sports, real authenticity, is rare. Too many athletes are coached, scripted, or brand conscious. They've got a PR team behind them, agents in their ear, and business partners reminding them what to say and what not to say. And that's where LeBron James comes in. LeBron has mastered the art of controlling optics. He is the undisputed king of image management. Every social media post, every soundbite, every sideline comment, it's all carefully chosen, carefully planned. You can feel the strategy. You can see the chessboard behind the words. He's not just speaking, he's building a brand. And in a way, that's brilliant. That's how you survive in the modern NBA spotlight, where one wrong word can become a headline for weeks. And here's where Stephen A. draws a line. In the GOAT debate, curated perfection will always come second to raw, ruthless truth. Jordan didn't just build a brand. He was the brand. He didn't need social media. He didn't need to tell you how great he was. He didn't need to explain his mindset or defend his legacy with hashtags and commercials. He proved it every single night on the floor. His blood, his sweat, his 6 championships, his 6-0 finals record. Those were the only press releases he needed. That authenticity, that ability to let the game itself do the talking, is why when Jordan finally does speak, the whole world listens. Think about it. When Jordan speaks, even now, it doesn't feel like commentary. It feels like a verdict. It feels like the final word. Why? Because it's not coming from a man trying to control how he's remembered. It's coming from the man who already carved his memory into stone. He doesn't need to convince you. He doesn't need to campaign. He's not angling for likes, clicks, or approval. He's simply telling it the way it is, and the gravity of his career makes it impossible to ignore. LeBron, for all his greatness, has always had to fight that extra battle of narrative. Critics say he's chasing Jordan. Critics say he needs more rings. Critics dissect his finals losses. And so he fights back with carefully crafted statements, reminders of his longevity, his all-time scoring record, his impact on and off the court. And again, respect where it's due. That's part of LeBron's greatness. But it's also part of why his words don't hit with the same force. Because when you're working so hard to control a narrative, the world can feel that effort. With Jordan, there was no effort. His narrative was simple: dominate, win, repeat. And when Stephen A. points this out, he's not just making a side note. He's cutting right into the heart of the debate. Greatness, in Stephen A.'s eyes, isn't just about stats or records. It's about presence. It's about how your words, your aura, your very existence shifts the entire conversation. And that is what Jordan's authenticity does. It shuts the debate down. When Jordan speaks, it doesn't matter how many points LeBron scores or how many years he plays. The conversation bends toward Jordan, because his authenticity makes everything else look manufactured.
And I know, when talking basketball, he is as candid as it gets.
Stephen A. then flips the entire script on those who think Michael Jordan has mellowed with age, who believe the fire's gone, that the assassin's edge has been dulled by time. He looks straight at the camera, and with that booming voice of conviction, makes it crystal clear: Michael Jordan has never backed down. Not then, not now, not ever. And here's the kicker: if Jordan himself doesn't want to say it out loud, Stephen A. will say it for him. That's how strongly he believes in the man's greatness. This isn't just commentary anymore. This isn't just debate theater for ESPN. No, this is something else entirely. This is advocacy. This is Stephen A. Smith planting his flag in the ground, standing on the front lines of basketball history and declaring war on revisionism. Because let's be honest, the league, the media, and the fans have gotten a little too comfortable praising empty stats, bending narratives, and pretending longevity alone makes you the greatest. LeBron has had more than a decade to shape his story, to star in his own documentaries, to control the conversation, and to win over hearts with curated messaging. And yes, he has succeeded in building a legacy that stretches far beyond the hardwood. But none of it has silenced the Jordan truthers. Why? Because authenticity and dominance don't die. Jordan doesn't need to campaign for his legacy. He doesn't need to defend it with slick editing or highlight montages. His resume is 6-4-6 in the finals, 6 finals MVPs, 10 scoring titles, a decade of absolute terror for anyone unlucky enough to stand across from him. That is a foundation. That is the truth. So when Jordan steps back into the NBA spotlight, even just for a moment, the ground shakes. His presence alone is a threat, a seismic reminder of a standard that no one else has touched. And Stephen A. knows it. He can feel it. He knows the second Jordan speaks, the cracks in LeBron's narrative are exposed to the world to see that a game that's gotten soft. Jordan calls it out. Leadership that's grown selective. Jordan highlights it. A legacy that thrives more on optics than on grit. Jordan makes it look fragile. That's a danger. That's a threat Jordan poses in this debate. He doesn't need to argue with stats or post endless highlight reels. His mere perspective, his willingness to tell the truth without filters, forces the entire conversation to shift. And that's why Stephen A. isn't just reporting. He's drawing battle lines. He's saying, if Jordan won't call it out directly, I will. If the league want to pretend the debate is close, I won't. If the fans want to blur greatness with longevity, I'll remind them what real dominance looks like. This is bigger than analysis. This is Stephen A. going to war for the purity of the conversation. Because in his eyes, if you don't protect the truth about Jordan, the truth gets buried under a mountain of optics, narratives, and spin. And once that happens, the very foundation of basketball history starts to crack. Jordan's return, his voice, his authenticity, it's not just nostalgia. It's a warning shot. And Stephen A. is here to make sure everybody hears it loud and clear. The throne was never vacated.
And I don't think that he's going to be shy about saying what he sees at all. In fact, if he is, he's going to have to deal with me because I'm going to be in his ear telling him, oh, we getting shot now. But that's what we do. That's what we do. That ain't the one I named him, MJ.
For fans and certain analysts, it's been spun as smart business, a bold decision, a masterclass in player empowerment. And yes, on paper, it worked. 4 straight finals, 2 championships, a dynasty of highlight reels. But for Stephen A., for the purists who remember what the NBA once stood for, that move wasn't just a career decision. It was a turning point where the league lost its edge. Because before that moment, superstars wanted to crush each other. They wanted to face their rivals head-on, beat them at their peak, and build their legacies the hard way. Magic didn't join Bird. Bird didn't run to the Pistons. Jordan didn't call up Hakeem or Patrick Ewing when the Pistons beat him down year after year. No, he stayed in Chicago, took the bruises, absorbed the punishment, and eventually broke through. That's what forged his legend. LeBron? He went south. Literally. Instead of continuing to climb the mountain in Cleveland, he boarded a flight to Miami to join forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. He didn't just chase rings. He redefined the blueprint for how to dodge adversity. And that blueprint changed the NBA forever. Stephen A. doesn't deny the brilliance that came afterward. LeBron in Miami was electric. A 2-time champion, Finals MVP, putting on some of the most dominant stretches we've ever seen. But Stephen A. also refuses to ignore the consequences. That decision didn't just reshape the game. It weakened it. Because suddenly, superstars didn't want to compete against each other. They wanted to link arms, build super teams, and make the climb easier. The grind, the wars, the rivalries, the very blood and fire that defined the NBA in Jordan's era, took a backseat. And here's a dagger. Greatness isn't just about what you win. It's about how you win. LeBron's route made shortcuts fashionable. It made calculated decisions and decision specials the norm. It sent a message to future stars. If you can't beat him, don't try. Just join forces and script the outcome. Jordan, meanwhile, made the long road legendary. He didn't need shortcuts. He turned obstacles into fuel. He turned rivalries into stepping stones. Every title he won was carved out of blood, sweat, and a refusal to bend.